The lift on the penthouse floor opened and 3 men pulled up their hoods and walked assertively down the hall in a triangle formation. The leader, Malik, was the smallest, not to mention the youngest looking, but he was leading for a reason. The 2 flanking him were Yi Cribbs, tall and bald on his left, and Karu Kingwood, stocky and forward monked, like Malik on his right. Scarves sat up around their faces, not tight, but their hoods hung heavy with the chainmail stitched into them, easily blocking their features from the hotel's CCTV cameras. They stopped at the door, heads down, and Malik banged on it, his 2 lieutenants standing behind him, and again. Malik half looked around to share the joke. Who else would it be? He flipped his hood down and pulled his scarf away to show off his face at the hotel room door's spy hole. With that, the door swung back and the 3 hoods walked into a plush suite with a distinctly bitter atmosphere. Malik was undaunted. "Who did you think it was? The bellboy?" he said, addressing the mafia goon that opened the door to him.
"Where are my cannons, you fucking little monkey?"
A phlegm-throated voice snapped at him from a lazy boy chair sitting in front of a 50-inch screen across the room. It was Salvatore Caligari. Fat Sal was the unimaginative nickname some keen Italian minds had given him, but, granted, it was appropriate. He sat like the fat mess he was in a bathrobe that struggled to cover him. The 5 guys who surrounded him were all made men, but looked uncomfortable. Solva Skoku, Cesar Anthony, Vern Bellin, Lowell Rattel, and Lester Cabalts, the one who was afraid of the other side of a door. Malik knew their names and knew them as people. Knowledge is everything. The more you know about someone, the more charge you hold over them. Harder to fear someone when you know their secrets. Easier to break them. "Resting up for the night, I see," said Malik, striding over to the side of the 50-inch, relaxed. He turned away from Sal, instead focusing on the ceremonial swords that sat on the wall above the screen. "Hey Sal, did you know I grew up in an orphanage?"
"What has that got to do with my fucking hand cannons?"
gargled Fat Sal angrily, but Malik kept staring at the swords.
"Answer my fucking question, you little shit stain."
"Some of the kids that end up there." He finally looked back at Sal. "Most." Malik kneeled and put a disc into the player below the TV. "They tend to come from pretty horrible circumstances. Some worse than others, though," he added. The screen flicked over automatically. The amateur, badly lit video was of Caligari, setting up the camera that was filming him. A girl, Asian it looked like, was sitting on a bed behind him. She couldn't have been more than 10 or 11. Malik stood, moving back to make sure the DVD was playing properly. "You've been to Thailand, haven't you, Sal?"
"Where did you get that?"
"You know where," replied Malik, jauntiness gone. On the TV, Sal lays out on the bed, grunts at the girl. Her back to the camera can't disguise her fear. And Sal shouts again until the girl starts to follow his orders to take off her clothes.
"That's not me."
"Sal, that looks a lot like you," Malik corrected. "Even your boys were convinced when I showed them. And if anyone know you lying around on your fat ass, sick fuck," came Lowell Rattel's scathing voice from behind Sal, like he just couldn't keep his disgusted words from bursting out of his mouth.
"I swear that's not me,"
said Sal in a nervous tone that made it clear he'd felt the room turning against him. Stuck in the leather like a turtle on its back, trying in vain to turn his greasy head towards the men he trusted, men he was family with. Malik reached up and took a wakizashi sword from the wall, the video still playing. "Then I told them about my life before the orphanage, and they agreed to let me show it to you in person." Caligari started to move, trying to get himself off and out of the lazy boy. He felt 2 hands drop on each of his shoulders, holding him in place. "About me and my sister."
"No, wait,
Malik looked back at the screen, then moved in closer to Sal, his voice dropping calmly. "Just keep your eyes on the screen," he said, leaning close to Sal's ear. "This is the best part." Taking each limp, cold-sweating hand, Malik wrapped Caligari's fingers around the hilt of the sword.
No, wait. I need to tell someone something.
Sal said, shocked white eyes full of fear, pleading up at Malik. It's okay, replied Malik, softly, smiling like he was putting a child to bed, and slowly slid the sword into fat flesh. He forced Sal to turn the sword and drag it across his own belly, his mouth hanging open, no pain as he went into shock. Slowly, so unbelievably slowly, slicing him open at his waist as Malik stared into those bulging, terrified pupils. Sal's home video in the background turned off by one of his men who couldn't stand to watch it any longer. Gurgles of blood in his throat as his body spasmed and jerked, wheezing as if life itself was gushing out of his mouth. Malik stood, leaving Caligari disemboweled on the lazy boy, sword still in his fat, child-molesting hands. Don't be late tonight, said Malik curtly to Vaskaku as he walked towards the door.
No one's gonna come and save my soul. Lost my way, no going back. I'm stuck right here, and that is that.
Lost my way, fell down a hole. No one's gonna come and save my soul. Lost my way, no going back. I'm stuck right here, and that is that.
Quran is man of unusual scene. It's all man of people will a man than the illest man of person you've ever met in your manner or whatever.